Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends reveals a harsh but essential truth about human relationships. Personal loyalty is often unreliable, especially when power, ambition, and success enter the equation. While friendship may seem like a natural foundation for trust, it can be a dangerous liability in the realm of power dynamics. Relying too heavily on friends often leads to disappointment, betrayal, or worse, unexpected competition. The complexities of human nature mean that even the closest bonds can be affected by envy, changing ambitions, and the pressures of power. This law isn't about promoting paranoia, but rather about teaching the necessity of maintaining a strategic distance, especially in matters of influence, authority, and control. When people rise in power, they tend to rely on those closest to them, assuming friends will be loyal and dependable in ways that outsiders cannot be. But as trust deepens, so do the risks. Friends often feel entitled to special privileges or recognition for their proximity to your success. What starts as a supportive relationship can turn into one rife with expectation, and if those expectations aren't met, it can quickly breed resentment. The problem is that emotional bonds can cloud your ability to see when the shift happens. Because friends have access to your personal life, they know your vulnerabilities, and when they feel overshadowed or unappreciated, they may exploit these weaknesses in ways that a more distant acquaintance or associate never would. Friendship brings familiarity, and while this may seem like a foundation for trust, it can lead to dangerous complacency. Familiarity can cause you to overlook the changing dynamics of the relationship. As you rise in power or influence, a friend's perception of their role in your life can shift. What was once an equal partnership or a mutually supportive friendship can start to feel unequal. The more successful or powerful you become, the more your friend may feel left behind or irrelevant. This change often happens subtly, but the results can be devastating. You may continue to trust your friend, but they may begin to harbor jealousy or resentment that grows beneath the surface. One of the greatest dangers of trusting friends too much is the emotional blind spot it creates. Friends are expected to be on your side no matter what, and because of this, you may fail to see when their loyalty falters. People's ambitions change, and friendship doesn't always withstand the pressure of success or power. When you ascend, you may inadvertently expose your friend's insecurities or jealousy, turning someone who was once a supporter into a potential rival. The emotions tied to friendship, whether it's the loyalty you feel toward them or the history you share, can make it difficult to detect when their feelings shift. This makes betrayal from a friend all the more dangerous because it's usually unexpected. The alternative suggested by this law is counterintuitive. Consider relying more on people who were once competitors, rivals, or even enemies. These individuals don't have the emotional baggage of friendship. Their motivations are often clearer and more straightforward. Since they don't expect personal favors or special treatment based on a close relationship, they are more likely to act professionally and are often more eager to prove themselves. Rivals, in particular, have a vested interest in showing that they are worthy of your trust because they need to overcome the initial hurdle of mistrust. This transactional nature of the relationship is far safer than the emotional complexity of friendship. Trusting enemies or strangers, while it may seem risky, often provides a more stable foundation in the long run. These individuals typically approach the relationship from a position of self-interest, which, when clearly understood, is easier to manage than the volatile emotions of friends. Enemies know they need to demonstrate their value and loyalty, especially if they have something to gain. Unlike friends, they don't take trust for granted, and this very fact can make them more reliable. The relationship is clear, devoid of the emotional entanglements that can muddy decision-making. This is why, in many cases, turning former rivals into allies can be a powerful strategy. However, this law doesn't mean you should completely sever ties with friends. The lesson is to be careful about mixing friendship with matters of power. It's essential to keep friendships for personal support, But when it comes to business, leadership, or politics, it's wiser to rely on people who view the relationship professionally. Friends can still be allies in your personal life, but in the professional world, keeping them at a strategic distance is often safer. The mistake is thinking that personal loyalty will translate into professional or political loyalty without complications. One often overlooked aspect of this law is the way that trust affects decision-making. When you trust someone because of personal history rather than objective ability, you may overlook their flaws or incompetence. It's easy to make excuses for a friend who underperforms or makes mistakes because the emotional bond makes you want to protect them. But in the world of power, this kind of protection is dangerous. It can lead to poor decision-making, favoritism, and ultimately weaken your position. Trusting someone purely because of their proximity to you is rarely a sound strategy. Professional relationships should be based on competence and mutual benefit, not personal attachment. At the same time, friends may come to expect that your relationship gives them a privileged position in your world. They may assume they deserve opportunities or rewards simply for being close to you. When these expectations aren't met, they may feel slighted, even if you never promise them anything. The sense of entitlement that comes with friendship can be toxic, leading to passive-aggressive behavior, subtle sabotage, or outright betrayal. The danger lies in the fact that you may not even realize this shift until it's too late, because friendship often blinds you to the true nature of people's changing motivations. In modern times, the relevance of this law is clear. In business, for example, bringing friends into a venture can create complications as soon as money, success, or influence come into play. Friends may start to feel that they deserve a bigger share or more recognition than they've earned. Even in smaller matters, such as social circles or group dynamics, putting too much trust in friends can lead to problems when ambitions or desires start to diverge. What was once a supportive and collaborative relationship can quickly turn into competition or resentment. To apply this law effectively, you must cultivate an acute sense of emotional intelligence. This involves paying attention not just to your own feelings, but also to how others react to your successes and failures. Are your friends genuinely happy for your achievements, or do you notice subtle signs of jealousy or discomfort? Do they feel entitled to benefits because of their closeness to you? And if so, how do they react when they don't get what they expect? Being attuned to these signals can help you avoid the traps of misplaced trust. In essence, Law 2, never put too much trust in friends, is not about rejecting friendship, but about recognizing its limits, especially in the game of power. Friendship, while valuable in personal life, can become a dangerous liability when mixed with ambition, success, or influence. The emotions tied to personal bonds often blind us to the complexities of human nature. Envy, ambition, and shifting allegiances are inevitable in the pursuit of power. To succeed, you must learn to navigate relationships strategically, placing trust not in familiarity but in ability, and always keeping a clear distinction between personal loyalty and professional necessity.